Am I going?
Sure, fire up.
We are here in Pittsfield on this wonderful morning for Spartan Up Podcast, episode number who knows what. We've got about 420 to go. I got Colonel Knight on my left.
Morning.
Right out of Special Operations. I've got Sephra right out of the woods. And I got Johnny right out of the doctor's office. He is the doctor. And we're going to talk about Slide Ranch. It's the oldest, I don't know if it's the oldest organic farm in the country, but you're shaking your head.
I don't think, could be.
It is an old farm. It's right off of Route 1 in California. It was originally funded by Jerry Garcia.
Yep.
Not Ben and Jerry's.
Nope.
No. Jerry Garcia.
Yeah.
You got to wake up.
I'm like, do the workout with you this morning. Now it's the afternoon already.
But
yeah,
but it's an amazing farm. They get hundreds and hundreds of kids coming through the farm. The buildings are a little bit old. They need some work. But Suzette's going to talk about what she's doing and how she's going to turn it around and how many people beg to have weddings there and all the stuff she teaches, and it's going to blow you away. It's a little different than our typical podcast, but food's important. If you don't eat, right? I don't think you guys have eaten any food this morning because you're all like falling asleep here.
Fair
ready to go.
But good food means good times, and we're going to learn how to eat good food on the farm.
I'm going to educate the kiddos.
Hey, it's Joe here with Spartan Up Podcast again. I am here with Suzette Clarke, who is the president of the board of Slide Ranch out in California. Why is that relevant? Many of you don't know, Spartan Race was started on a farm in Vermont. Mm-hmm. We are huge advocates behind rotational farming, farm to table, and just eating stuff out of the ground rather than out of a box. Mm-hmm. Many kids don't even know where milk comes from. They think it's from a milk container. Many kids have never walked on grass before. You're on the West Coast, we're on the East Coast. We want to tie together. We've got that race coming to AT&T Park out in the San Francisco area. Right. You were amenable to that. Yep. That's why we're here. So let's get into it. Tell us about Slide Ranch.
Well, Slide Ranch was started in 1970, and it was kind of part of a great movement about kind of going back to the land and getting back to the basics. In fact, the Grateful Dead, after they came off tour every year, used to hang out at the ranch. And Jerry Garcia himself wrote us our first check to really start the teaching farm. And so even back then, there was an understanding that making the connection from where your food comes from was really important. We see now 8,000 kids a year that come through Slide. Wow. And 60% of them are from incredibly impoverished backgrounds. It's amazing to me that we live in Silicon Valley, Bay Area, one of the richest engines of innovation in the world. And yet we have kids that come to Slide Ranch that have never seen the ocean before. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had some kids that were walking around and they didn't really quite know how to walk on the ground. And we were like, what's going on here? And we realized that they'd never felt anything other than asphalt beneath their feet.
Wow.
And there's a complete disconnect about where their food comes from. A teacher was telling me she was gardening and basically pulled a radish out of the ground and started to eat it. And this kid said to her, "That's disgusting. Why did you put your lunch in there?" You know, so kids come to Slide and they say they don't even realize that you can eat plants before they come to Slide Ranch. Now, the thing that's happening here now is that we've really realized that all the research is there to back it up, that things have changed. Our childhood was completely different. I don't know about yours, but even though I grew up in London, I was out all day and then I'd come back in the evening. Yep. Well, kids now don't have that freedom. They're not spending that time outdoors. And of course, as you know, in the Spartans, you start these lifelong lessons of activity, being outdoors, making that connection from where your food comes from. You start that early. And kids today are spending less time outdoors. And it's sort of...
No time.
No time. I mean, the high-income kids are overscheduled, overstressed, and over-deviced. Yeah. And the low-income kids just don't have any access. So they can't even get there. And so the mission of Slide Ranch is to put nature back into childhood. Right. And we're going to lead a campaign to do that.
So we have a similar mission. My own children had to be 3 years ago at Spartan Race. We're in the middle of a race. They were about a half a mile in, and they stopped short, both of them. And they were standing in front of a mud puddle. And I went over to talk to them. They were confused. They were told since childbirth, don't get dirty. Stay out of the mud. So they did what they'd been told to do by myself and my wife. And that's when it really struck home for me and said, wait a minute, we got to get the kids outside. We've got to get them playing and getting dirty and back to primal ways before we only know a cell phone, a donut, and a computer, right?
Well, it reminds me of it. Actually, it's interesting you say that, because the first rule of coming to Slide Ranch that we tell everybody and the parents when they come is they got to get dirty. That's number one rule. Yeah. And it reminds me also, we run, among other things, like survival camps at Slide. Yeah. So what we started, especially with the older kids and their parents, we have them come out and they learn how get water where there's no water, how to build a fire, how to make a shelter. And it was very interesting when I went through this course myself, because the experts that were teaching it explained, they said, look, think about it. Children seem to intuitively know that they should build a shelter. You could be in the house and they've got the cushions and the pillows and they throw a rug over the top of whatever, they're building a shelter. And we seem to kind of like breed it out of ourselves. So making that connection is incredibly important.
I hope you're not sitting still while you listen. If you are, you better get a burpee break in.
We're undergoing a massive transformation at Slide Ranch because our ambition is to be the absolute leader in environmental education in the United States. How can we do that? We can do that by availing ourselves of the world-class technology that we have on our doorstep. So,
well, you've got Silicon Valley.
We got Silicon Valley, and we have a technology that will be launching soon that will allow us to put our curriculum online, so that even if you don't get to visit Slide Ranch, or even if you're in Vermont, or if you're in New Jersey or wherever you are, you'll be able to
with your children get
online and do it in a very simple, beautiful, very visual way that is very intuitive to kids. Nice. So that we extend the learning of what we're doing outside the actual visit to the ranch, as well as becoming a place where we are a forum for all the cutting-edge thinking around nature deficit disorder and how people and kids are spending less time outdoors than ever before.
Yeah, but the food is a really important part of it, right? And so if our goal, because we have the same goal, is to get people eating healthy, it probably starts with the kid knowing and touching what healthy food is. Otherwise, they don't even know, right?
It's vital that they understand where the food comes from. So one of the programs that we run, which is super fun, and we do it with the kids, and sometimes we do it with the kids and the parents, is the family spends the entire morning scavenging on the ranch. And they literally, they milk the goats, they separate the curds in the whey, they make the goat's cheese, the goat's butter, they go to the chicken coop and they, harvest the eggs and make a frittata, and they go and...
Those are just tractors going by for the noise there.
Yeah, this is a working ranch. They go and they harvest fruits and vegetables, and essentially what they do is they learn that they can feed their entire family in quite a feast from what they have right there on the ranch. And because we're in the San Francisco Bay Area, we get kind of fancy. I mean, we're making like the nasturtium pesto and the things that you wouldn't normally think that you can use that can be used. We put the flowers in the salad, and it's wonderful. So it's like farm to table, it's creative, and it makes the connection. And when I first taught my daughter, which is why I got involved, she was about 2 years old, and we pulled down that hatch, and there's a chicken had just laid the egg, and oh my goodness, the joy of just harvesting that egg. The next week we're in the supermarket, and we're along, and there's the shelf of eggs, and she opened that box of eggs. Well, it could have been the proverbial golden egg, because she just gasped. And I knew then that we'd done our job, because we'd made that connection. Right. And so I think at the fundamental basis of what is so important about what Spartans are doing and what we're doing is that you have to get that connection early in life, because it sets you up for the rest of your life. Right. You're going to lead a healthier lifestyle. And, I fundamentally believe that if kids don't spend time in nature, they're not going to value it.
Yeah.
And if they don't value it, they're unlikely to protect
Well,
it.
then you don't know why fast food is no good, right?
Right.
You don't understand it, and
Yeah.
you don't know this. We have 700,000 people a day downloading our food of the day.
Fantastic.
And so we put out healthy recipes because
Right.
we realize people don't even know how to cook
Right.
in a healthy way. We just never taught
Right.
most people.
Right.
I was lucky I had my mom.
Right.
You were forward thinking, so you were lucky, and then all the kids that come to the farm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I'm really excited about partnering on this because there's a lot of great information out there, a lot of great learning, and you guys are absolutely at the forefront of that, those healthy recipes. So, bringing all that information together and making it easy for people to get to, it's very
it's a game
exciting.
changer.
It really is.
You combine that with exercise, right? And
Exactly.
You just gave me some good ideas. We have a kids race series all across, or actually all around the world. And why not tie in some of the farm and food
Right.
things to the kids race to give, right? We
Absolutely.
have 1,000 kids there doing the race. Why not teach them a few things?
Absolutely. No, there's a lot that we can do working together on this. We're all on the same mission here.
That's right.
And we see an epidemic of children not eating well and the long-term costs of that and not exercising and being outdoors. And we all know when we spend time outdoors, we just feel better.
You feel good.
You do.
They did studies, working out outside, working out inside. Exact same workout. Results were, I believe, 10% better outside.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot stand the inside of a gym.
Yeah.
Maybe I should, maybe it shows, but I'd much rather go on a run, be outside.
Feels good.
It just does. It
Yeah.
does. And that's, I mean, with your races, obviously, it's all about that. But it's about getting people motivated to start. And you don't have to have had it in your past. Helps, but, this is what you're doing. This is what you're bringing.
So how do people learn about Slide Ranch?
Well, you can go to slideranch.org.
So SLIDE.
SLIDE,
Ranch.
like sliding into the ocean.
Right.
Slideranch.org, and we have a lot of information there on us.
And if you're somebody that's watching this and you're in California, it's literally over the Golden Gate Bridge.
Just go over. Well, I mean, we are very much a beloved institution. In fact, people know about us all over the country. The teachers that come to Slide Ranch, we have 10 of them. They live on the ranch for 10 months of the year, completely sustainably, completely
Wow.
off-grid.
Wow.
They run our programs, and we get about a 40-to-1 application ratio. So if you're a young person who would like to potentially go into teaching or environmental education, think
You're
about
looking,
applying.
yeah.
We're always looking for great
So
teachers.
40 people apply, you take one.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we get kids, young adults who then, frankly, they go on to do great things in the fields of environmental education. And in fact, I had a board member join our board a couple of years ago, and he said, because we've been around since the 70s now, right? So he said, the reason why I went into the solar industry and clean tech is because as a kid I came to Slide Ranch.
Yeah.
And he
No,
cared enough.
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to open their eyes up at a young age.
Exactly.
And you might have said it, how many total kids a year go?
8,000 a year.
Right.
We're a non-profit. We do have more capacity. Frankly, with donations, if I had just a little bit more, I could see about 2,000 kids more. So we're on that journey, and I want Slide Ranch to be around and stronger for the next 50 years. And
So maybe what we'll do is at the Spartan race
Yeah.
at AT&T Park, maybe we'll bring a few thousand people down and do some planting or something.
exactly, I love
Right.
it. Let's do it.
All right. Well, thanks
you.
for having us.
Thank you, Joe.
All right.
Appreciate it.
That was awesome. That wasn't just about food. What I like, that was about our connection to food and the idea that so many kids in particular have just completely lost track of where anything comes from, or they don't have a clue, right? It comes from the grocery store.
Where's milk come from?
Yeah, exactly.
The carton.
Exactly. Gross, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really, really cool. It's an important initiative.
Told you guys, you were like, why are we doing a farm?
I never said that. I would never say that. No, I think, right, I mean, if Spartan wants to be a resilient community, the ground level, right, is food, it's nutrition, and it starts with these kids, right, having a connection to the earth and having a connection to where their food comes from. I like to say you got to be steward and caretake the earth, and something that people don't really know a lot about that's really a good way to engage kids is to talk about seeds, right? Because seeds used to be this incredibly important part of our society, and the more diverse seeds you have, the more resilient they are to what the different climates will be, if it's going to be wet or humid or whatever it is. But we've really lost this art of seed saving. So there's places like the Seed School and different seed banks that are still reviving this. And my message is not only learn about your food, but learn about your seeds. And if you have 4 million Spartans out there just caretaking one variety of plant, that makes a huge difference in the variety of foods that will carry with us in the future.
Should we have them bring seeds to a race?
Absolutely. There should be seed swaps at races. I would think that'd be a marvelous
You got to be very careful on what type of seeds. I'd imagine.
But you're not buying into any of this. I mean,
No,
you're a pizza and soda guy.
I like. Listen, I like my soft drink. One, I probably can't give the brand. I don't know, but yes, I like it. Get over it. But I think I also eat a lot of healthy stuff. I probably too much of the junk as well. But listen, I love vegetables. I could be a vegetarian if I didn't love meat so much. I like it all. I like to eat, no doubt about it.
But are you buying into this philosophy that we've got to go organic, we've got to go back to the earth, we've got to do local?
Yeah, no, listen, I think there's merit in it. I mean, I see it. I certainly.
Can that be a philosophy?
It certainly can't hurt you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even understand where the question is. Like, you put pesticides on something, goes into your groundwater, poisons everyone. I mean,
no, but this is a
what's even the
military guy
question?
that he needs to move 1 million men
it's
to
Veterans
another
Day, so
country. They grab a
thank
bunch
you
of
for your
sodas, some pizza,
Well,
and they get it done.
we typically move water. We move a lot of MREs.
But that's out of convenience.
They eat MRE.
Right, no, right.
That's out of convenience, and that's why.
Well, the MREs are designed, as you know, for maximum calories. When you're out there and you're carrying all that heavy load and you're in those environments, cold, hot, whatever, you're burning calories.
Pemmican's good.
And you're eating 4,000 calories per meal.
Yeah, but what are they? The calamari Bushmen?
Oh, the calamari.
So
No, it's not an olive, Joe. It's calamari bushman, right?
It's funny though. We're standing on a farm here, and I know that you've over the last couple of years invested in helping turn this area around as far as food to table. Was it farm to table?
I like to say forest to
but
table.
it's funny. All these things that we talk about now, almost like as a trend or as a movement with organic and with farm to table.
Was the way
Our
it was.
grandparents, they didn't know what recycling was because they just reused things. There was no such thing as recycling. There's no such thing as organic. It was just called food. Yep. So it's not like this is some new crazy idea that we're coming up with and inventing. It's simply realizing we've probably swung too far over the other way. We've got so focused on efficiency and yield and things like that we kind of jumped the shark. I've used that expression a couple times. And now it's just coming back to the middle to something that was the way of doing it anyway. And again, with this interview where she talks about these things that are actually very basic, fundamental things that aren't revolutionary. It's just turning the clock back a little bit to maybe a time that made more sense on some of these
Which
fronts.
is everything we believe in, and that's all I'm getting to, right? We think yesteryear maybe is better. We think being Spartan, in some ways, right? Certainly, weaponry is better today than it was back then. But I don't know if food got any better. I mean, we could feed more people.
But you're feeding them empty calories and non-nutritious food, right? So it's like it's saying. I mean that's a huge argument for a lot of, let's say just the GMOs and stuff. But it's like, I don't know you're giving them calories, but there's.
I biked cross country. I passed a lot of farms when I was biking cross country.
All right.
And I'm
not the bad guy here. I just want you to know that.
And I saw these signs everywhere years ago, 5-6 years ago, that were like skull and crossbone signs that were seed companies.
Poison. No?
Well, they're seed companies that are putting poison in the seeds
Sure.
in order to kill the bugs to get a better yield for farming. But ultimately, we eat that.
See, and that's the issue that they make about monoculture, right? Versus a polyculture. Now I'm going to throw out words. People are going to be like, "What are you talking about?" But if you plant a monoculture, just corn, or wheat, then you're inviting in all of these pests. But the better way to do it is something called like food or forest farming, right? Or making food forests. So you make perennial polycultures. That means they come back each year and they have all different varieties. You mimic what a forest looks like. You have the fruit trees and the edible vines. And when you do that, then you can leave a legacy. Then that forest grows up for your children. You can harvest from it, and you don't have all those issues with monoculture and pesticides and everything.
Now I'll be the bad guy a little bit. I know very little about what I'm talking about. Can you harvest enough? There's 320
if everyone
million
was
people
doing
in this,
it, right?
Right, if everybody was doing it, that's never going to happen in this country, or most countries.
But it's something to strive for because it's either never going to happen or you're going to have a lot of people who are eating.
Again, I'm all
remaining
about
unhealthy.
stopping at the farmer's market as I'm driving down the street and getting my fruits and vegetables. And I was shocked to hear that kids couldn't walk on grass because they've never really seen it or felt it and didn't really know what it was about. So I get it that we've got to move back, but I don't think you're ever going to get back to where every American has got a garden in his backyard. It's just...
I got a crazy question. Why, when I was just in Ohio last weekend at the wrestling camp, did I see tons and tons of corn acreage uncut and rotting. Is that a government subsidy where you just let your corn die or something? How the hell does that work?
I am no government.
You work for the government. You should know.
About farming rules.
You know what? I think what you say.
I don't, but
I don't know if I agree with you. There's a movement called Food Not Lawns, right? You spend if you drive through Connecticut, where I'm from, right? There's just expansive lawns that have their sprinklers going all the time,
But that's
right?
Connecticcut, not Newark.
It doesn't matter. I mean, there's certainly ways to do urban agriculture. There's plenty of vacant lots that you can rip up the tarps. I mean, I have a ton of friends who are doing rooftop gardening, exactly. And I think the fact is like, how are you utilizing your resource, right? I mean, are you wasting that land? Are you wasting your water? You're not feeding your children. I mean, you have to like look where there is opportunity. And
totally agree.
And
but going back to this interview, I think that's what she's trying to do, because like we're talking about people who, you know, we're sitting here on a beautiful farm in Vermont. You've got friends with these big lawns, and I agree with you. There's lots we can do. There are a lot of kids, you know, like you said, who've never seen grass, and so we are so totally disconnected from our culture. And it's so funny to get people fit. We try and get them on a treadmill, which is bizarre. You know, send them outside running around.
You're like putting dogs on treadmills, right? Yeah, it's funny.
But we're in so many ways completely disconnected from our culture. So I'm not disagreeing with you, and I agree that this is all.
I don't know what you'd be disagreeing with me about. I'm totally agree. I'm totally in agreement with you, John.
I just mean that that programs like hers are so important as far as just getting people even started moving that direction.
Yeah.
Because you have to start somewhere, right?
you need to be a little bit more passionate.
No. I'm just saying,
a little bit more passionate.
I have my it's what I did my master's degree in, like agricultural education. I think is the most.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, it's the most important thing that there is out there. And I think no matter where anyone's listening to this, there are people that have organic farms your kids can go help out. I know there's a lot of people in urban areas, but there's still a number of things that you can do with kids that can inspire them and get them connected. You know, plant carrot seeds in your windowsill or sprout avocados.
We should start a program.
Or is it
plant carrots, not lawns.
Yeah, plant carrots, not lawns. But also, you know, there's also the whole wilderness awareness movement. There's all these wilderness awareness skills in schools. And when you talk about how kids can't walk on lawns, it's exactly right. And they teach you something called fox walking and like owl eyes and deer ears. Now, you guys can look that up because I know you guys are probably like, she's crazy.
No.
But
we already thought
we know that. Yeah.
No, and it's fine. But there has to be a way to reconnect with the earth. And when you do that, you see that kids calm down, because a lot of kids, again, as they say, they have ADD. It's actually NDD, which is nature deficit disorder. And even if you're in an urban area, there's still falcons and peregrine falcons and coyotes that run around in Newark and rats. And you know what? I mean, wild edibles like dandelions, which is a great wild edible sprouting up between the sidewalk. So I think, anywhere I've ever been, there's always there's opportunity for teaching and to inspire kids.
Let's wrap it up.
That was awesome.
That was good. That was really good. Yeah. We're going to, every 500 podcasts, we're going to do one that you really feel passionate about. So that's good. This is Spartan Up Podcast. You can check out Tim's integrative, intellectual, interactive corner on the website. You can learn about Putty's glamping.
Yeah, come up to the luxury tent camps up here in the Green Mountains, and I'll definitely post some things where you can find some resources how to get your kids connected, because there's so many ways no matter where you are, and it's the most important thing. I think
so many people have come to stay with you on your camping sites and just eaten dandelions and lost so much weight.
Yeah, it's great. Well, you know, there's dandelions.
I can't imagine why.
You know, the other thing I'll say about farms is if you have a farm and you know you have all these weeds coming up, you have chickweed and you have lamb's quarter, you have all these things that a lot of farmers pull out and they weed it out. That's some of the most nutritious plants that are available, and they have really great medicinal values. And oftentimes they say the medicinal plants that you need grow right where you need them, you know, like plantain. And I could go on forever on this topic. So anyways.
But because you can't go on forever, go to SpartanPodcast.com. You'll find out all this and lots more. SpartanUpPodcast.com. Thank you.